Let me ask you something, no sugarcoating, just straight talk. Have you ever felt like you did everything right with a guy, only to see him walk away with someone else? That gut punch feeling, like you played by all the rules and still lost? You gave him your time, your attention, you listened, you were patient and understanding, and then he left for someone who didn't even seem to care half as much. Yeah, it hurts, but take a deep breath, because this isn't about something being wrong with you. Actually, there's just something you haven't been taught, and it's not your fault. From the time we were little, most of us learned the same thing, that being nice, quiet, and never rocking the boat is what makes a man fall in love. So many women end up trapped, playing the perfect girl on paper, while watching him fall for someone who, on the surface, doesn't make any sense at all. Here's the plot twist: attraction doesn't care about logic. As Carl Jung explained, most of our choices and feelings aren't driven by logic, but by our unconscious minds. That's where the real emotional power lives. Jung put it like this: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And nowhere is that more true than with attraction. So today, I want to share something with you that could completely change how you connect with men. There are two simple words, and when you say them with the right kind of confidence, they can totally shift the way a man sees you. This isn't about tricks, manipulation, or acting like someone you're not. This is deep psychology. It's about understanding how male desire really works on a primal level, beyond what even he can explain. And here's the best part: you don't have to have a supermodel body. You don't need to be rich or have some fantasy life. All you need is to understand how desire works at the subconscious level. If this is already making you see things differently, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I don't sell fairy tales here. I'm about giving you real tools, backed by real insight, to help you actually change your love life. Alright, let's dive in. The biggest lie you've been told is that to win a man's heart, you need to be the most logical choice, the nicest, the most available, the one who never challenges him. But that approach, as good as it sounds, doesn't actually spark attraction. In fact, it often does the opposite. It creates indifference. You might know her, you might be the woman who's always there for him. She supports him, checks in on him, sends good morning and good night texts, and still, he picks someone else. Why? Because desire doesn't grow from comfort. It grows from mystery. As Jung would say, the soul needs tension to evolve. And in the world of attraction, emotional tension is the spark that lights everything up. When a woman tries to be flawlessly perfect, she becomes predictable. And predictable is almost never passionate. Picture this: you're starving. In front of you are two plates. One is a plain, polite salad. The other is a juicy, flavorful burger that hits all your senses. You know which one is healthier, but which one are you actually drawn to? This isn't about being the wrong choice, it's about being the irresistible choice. The one who stirs something in him, who leaves a mark. And no, I'm not telling you to be difficult or start drama. I'm telling you to stop being invisible. Most women work so hard not to rock the boat, to avoid rejection, to hide what they really want. They shrink themselves to fit in, and that's exactly how they end up overlooked. While you're overthinking whether it's the right time to speak up, another woman is already stirring up emotions in him, a storm of feelings he can't explain and definitely can't ignore. That's when women start to wake up. Desire can't be reasoned with. It's felt. It's not about your emotional resume, it's about how he feels when he's with you. And before you start thinking, wait, so I have to be rude to get his attention? No, not at all. This isn't about acting like a jerk or playing games. It's about owning your truth and expressing your desires with clarity and confidence. That's when everything starts to change. That is the real difference between the women men desire and the ones they just value as friends. If you're tired of being the woman who deserves love but never actually receives it, you need to understand this fundamental rule. A woman who doesn't express what she wants simply doesn't exist on a man's emotional radar. Men aren't drawn to the ones who always aim to please. They're drawn to the ones who intrigue them, who make them feel something unexpected, who shake them out of their comfort zone. And that never comes from being perfect, it comes from being real, direct, and emotionally courageous. And this is where those two words come in, words that can completely shift how a man sees you. Simple words, but when spoken from a place of inner confidence, they flip a deep switch in his mind. Want to know what they are? Get ready, because what comes next might change everything. Here's something you need to understand right now. Men aren't most attracted to the woman who tries the hardest to please them. They're drawn to the one who makes them feel something intense. It's not about being the funniest or acting like you're auditioning for a rom-com. It's about creating an emotional experience that shakes him, that jolts him out of the ordinary. The problem is, a lot of women approach attraction like it's a checklist. They think, if I tick all the boxes, be sweet, be available, be thoughtful, then you should choose me. But this isn't a job interview, and his desire isn't based on your emotional resume. Chemistry doesn't work like that. Carl Jung said our decisions are driven not by what we think, but by what we feel. And in the world of attraction, that couldn't be more true. We don't choose with our heads, we choose with our hearts, our guts. Desire isn't calculated, it erupts. And that goes for men, too. They don't fall in love with the woman who seems right. They fall for the one who makes them feel something real. Too many women fall into the trap of trying to convince, when what they really need to do is make him feel. They try to win him over with favors, gifts, endless time and energy, as if they're building up enough emotional points to earn a yes. But attraction isn't a reward system, it's not an emotional bank account. And here's the worst part. Fear of rejection makes so many women freeze. They're so scared of making waves that they disappear emotionally. Let me be super clear, in the game of attraction, indecision is the kiss of death. While you're hesitating, wondering if it's the right time to show you're interested, another woman is already stirring emotions in him that you're still holding back out of fear. So how do you create authentic, powerful attraction? Not with flowers, not with dinners, not with endless patience. Real attraction is born from emotional presence, inner certainty, and clear direction. Men are drawn to women who know what they want and aren't afraid to say it. A woman who says, "This is what I want," without hesitation, radiates magnetic energy. But the one who says, "I don't know, whatever you want, whatever works for you," gives off insecurity. And insecurity, as Jung understood, activates unconscious rejection responses. He talked about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny. Insecurity often hides in our shadow, fear of rejection, abandonment, judgment. But when a woman makes peace with her desire, she expresses it with power, and that's when everything shifts. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine two women who want to ask a man out. The first says, "Would you like to hang out sometime? If you're free, of course, no rush." The second says, "I want to see you this Friday. Does that work for you?" Feel the difference? One sounds like she's asking permission to exist on his calendar. The other simply states what she wants. Guess which one sparks more interest? Men aren't looking for arrogance, but they are looking for clarity. They're not attracted to women who shrink themselves to be liked. They're drawn to those who show up fully, desires, direction, confidence, and all. Women who don't ask permission to want what they want. And this is where those two words come into words that can radically shift your love life. They're not magic, they're not a cheap trick, but when you use them the right way, they totally change the way a man sees you. Are you ready to hear them? Really ready? Because this could be a turning point in your story. The two words are, "I want." So simple, so direct, but when you say them from a place of authenticity, they carry explosive power. Don't be fooled by how simple they sound. These words hold enormous psychological strength. Let's look at two scenarios. 1. If you want, we could maybe hang out sometime, if you have time. 2. I want to see you this Saturday. See the difference? The first feels unsure, like you're asking for permission. The second is clear, confident. Understand that kind of energy is magnetic. Do you feel the power in your words? Here's the most fascinating part. When you say "I want" without hesitating, without apologizing or trying to soften it, something deep actually shifts inside him. Why? Because most men are not used to women speaking with that kind of clarity. They're used to guessing, picking up on hints, or decoding vague suggestions. But when you step up and take emotional leadership, when you say, "I want," you're not forcing anything. You're leading. And that, my friend, is real power. Emotional power. But let's be careful here. This isn't about barking orders or demanding things. It's not about "I want you to do this for me" or "I want you to buy me this." There's a massive difference between commanding and inviting with direction. The key is in your intention. One kind of "I want" demands, the other kind connects. One puts up a wall, the other opens a door. So if you've ever wondered why other women, who don't seem to try half as hard, end up with the guy you want, now you have insight. It's not that they're better, prettier, or luckier. It's that they're not afraid to want and to say it. Now that you know, you can start playing by the rules that actually work. Ever noticed how some women who don't have the perfect body, aren't rich, and aren't living some fairy tale, still attract incredible men? Here's the secret. They communicate what they want with confidence. They don't hide behind hints or wait for a guy to figure it out. They say it clearly, directly, and without fear. So here's what I want you to try. Next time you want something from a man, just say I want. Don't say if you want, or if you have time, or I don't know, whatever works for you. Say exactly what you want, and then just watch his reaction. Because here's the deepest truth of all. When a woman expresses her desires, without fear of rejection, her energy becomes magnetic. And this doesn't just apply to love. Think about it at work. It's not the same to say, well, if you think I deserve it, I'd like a raise, versus I want a raise because I've proven my value. One shows doubt, the other shows power. Same with friends. Don't just say, whatever you guys want to do, I'll go along. Say, I want to do this today, and watch how differently they respond. The words you choose shape your social and emotional identity. If you get used to speaking with clarity, your world starts to shift, and that absolutely includes your love life. So now, be honest with yourself. Do you want to keep being the woman who waits, who adapts, who stays quiet and just hopes? Or do you want to be the woman who takes action, who sparks desire, who radiates confidence? If you're feeling the second one, then you're on the right path. What comes next is crucial. How do you use those two words the right way? Because yes, there's a right way to say I want, and plenty of ways to mess it up. For example, if you say I want in a shaky voice, looking at the floor, with your shoulders slumped, it won't work. Your body language undermines your words, and in emotional communication, nonverbal cues speak louder than anything you say. It's like your body is saying, don't take me seriously. Carl Jung talked about the power of integrating the self with the shadow, about aligning what we feel with what we express. That's what this is about, aligning your desire with your expression. The power of I want doesn't come from shouting or commanding. It comes from saying it with a steady voice, clear eyes, open posture, and grounded confidence. You don't need to act like a dictator, just like someone who knows her worth. And remember, it's not about demanding, it's about inviting from a place of authentic desire. There's a huge difference between I want to see you this Saturday and I want you to do this for me. One communicates genuine interest, the other sounds like a demand. Nobody, man or woman, likes to feel pressured. Attraction needs freedom, not force. But here's the thing, words alone aren't enough. You have to act too. If you say, I want to take you to dinner, but then wait for him to make the plan, your message loses its impact. Men are drawn to women who not only want something, but move toward it, who make decisions and shift the energy in that direction. And this doesn't just apply to relationships, but to every part of your life, your work, your family, your personal goals. When you learn to communicate with certainty, you project desire. And when you know your worth and express it clearly, you activate something primal in others: admiration, curiosity, and yes, attraction. So try this experiment. Next time you want to invite a man out, don't ask for permission to want him. Just say, I want to see you this Saturday. Does that work for you? Then hold his gaze. Wait calmly and trust your value. Because a woman who doesn't beg, doesn't shout to be heard, and doesn't hide, she can't be ignored. Remember, knowing something in theory won't change your life. Real transformation comes from applying it, putting it into action. Most women get the theory. They know they need to speak more clearly, that they can't just sit around waiting for others to guess what they want or how they feel. But when the real moment comes, they freeze. That paralysis comes from a deep place: the fear of rejection, the fear of being judged, the worry about what other people might say. It's that inner echo, that voice from the shadow. Jung spoke of the part of ourselves that wants to protect us, but ends up sabotaging us. And the only way to quiet that voice isn't by overthinking or endless reflection. It's action. You overcome fear by consciously doing what scares you. So here's a simple but powerful exercise. For the next 7 days, say I want at least 5 times a day in different areas of your life, not just in love. The goal is to train your mind and your body to speak with clarity and intention, to start building that internal alignment between what you feel and what you express. When you're at a restaurant and the waiter asks what you'd like, don't say, "I don't know." "What do you recommend?" Say, confidently, "I want this." When you're with friends and no one wants to decide what to do, don't say, "I'm good with whatever." Say, "I want to do this." And yes, when you're with that man you like, stop hiding behind vague phrases or passive tones. Say what you actually want, clearly, directly, and without apologizing for it. You'll probably feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. But that discomfort, that's where the real growth begins. Your mind will try to protect you. It'll whisper that you're being too forward, that you might come off as arrogant, or that you're overstepping. But what's really happening is this. You're breaking through years of conditioning that taught you to wait, stay quiet, and always be agreeable. That initial discomfort is a sign you're entering new emotional territory. It's like going back to the gym after a long break. At first, everything hurts. But if you stick with it, your body starts to get stronger. The same thing happens with your inner voice, your way of expressing yourself. With time and consistency, your confidence becomes something natural and solid. And after just a week of practicing this, you'll start to notice subtle but powerful shifts in the way people respond to you. Your friends will start to take your words more seriously. At work, you might feel a new sense of respect coming your way. And with men, especially, you'll notice a shift in how they perceive your energy, not because you said some magic words, but because you stopped acting from fear and started acting from conviction. You'll stop being the woman who waits to be chosen. You'll become the one who chooses. You'll stop chasing approval because you'll be too busy standing in your truth. But don't get this wrong, this isn't about manipulating anyone. It's not a trick to control someone's emotions or a mask to wear in hopes of getting attention. This challenge is about reconnecting with yourself, with your wants, your voice, with that part of you that's been silenced too often for the sake of making others comfortable. It's about becoming the version of yourself who knows what she wants and has the courage to say it without fear, without apology. So here's your real challenge for the next 7 days. Practice using "I want" with purpose and intention. Notice how you feel when you do it, how your energy shifts, and just as importantly, how others start to respond to you. If after a week, nothing at all feels different, you can always go back to the way things were. But if something, even something small, starts to shift, you'll know this isn't just a theory, it's the missing key. That can unlock a whole new chapter in your life. Let's bring this back to what it's really about. Confidence is what awakens desire. When you know your worth and express it without hesitation, you stir something primal in others' admiration, intrigue, and yes, attraction. So try it. Next time you want to ask a man out, don't tiptoe around it. Don't ask for permission to want him. Just say it clearly, confidently, and own it. Here's what most people get wrong about this. They think it's about being loud or bossy or too much, but that's not true confidence. Real confidence is calm. It's grounded. It doesn't need to shout because it knows its own value. When you say, "I want to see you this Saturday," with steady eyes and a relaxed voice, you're not just making a request, you're inviting him into your world. That's the energy men respond to, because deep down, everyone is craving realness and direction. Not someone who needs to be chased, but someone who's not afraid to speak her truth. And here's the beauty. As you practice this not just with men, but everywhere in your life, you'll start to build a new relationship with yourself. You'll begin to trust your own feelings and decisions more. You'll notice that the people who truly matter will respect you more, not less, for your honesty and clarity. Let's get practical for a second, because I know it can feel scary. Maybe you're thinking, what if I get rejected? What if it doesn't work? Here's the truth. Rejection is a part of life, and it's actually a sign you're moving forward and taking risks. The alternative is staying stuck quiet, waiting, never rocking the boat, but also never getting what you truly desire. You can't avoid every awkward moment, and you can't guarantee every man will say yes. But you can guarantee that when you're clear about what you want, you'll attract the people and opportunities that are right for you, and you'll stop wasting time on the ones that aren't. Let's talk about some real-world examples, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Situation 1. Dating and attraction. You're texting with a guy you like. Instead of saying, "If you're free, maybe we could hang out sometime," Try, I want to see you this weekend. Are you free Saturday? It's direct, and it shows you're comfortable with your desire. If he's interested, he'll step up. If not, you've saved yourself a lot of time and second-guessing. Situation 2, at work. You've been working hard and think you deserve a raise or new project. Instead of waiting for your boss to notice, say, I want to take on more responsibility. I'd like to talk about what that could look like. Or, I want a raise because I've brought in results for the team. Notice the difference. You're not begging or hoping, you're stating your value. Situation 3, with friends or family. Maybe your friends always leave plans up in the air, and you end up tagging along with whatever they decide. Next time, say, I want to try that new restaurant downtown. Or I want to plan our next get-together. It's a small shift, but it signals that your preferences matter too. Situation 4, boundaries. Let's say someone keeps asking for favors, and you've always said yes out of habit even when you didn't want to. Next time, try, I want to focus on my own priorities this week, so I can't help out. No apology, no guilt, just a clear statement of your needs. Every time you use I want with clarity, you're building a muscle. At first, it might feel stiff or awkward. That's normal. It's like learning any new skill. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes and the stronger your sense of self grows. But let's be honest, you'll face resistance. Maybe from others, but definitely from your own mind. That old voice will pop up. You're being selfish. What if they don't like you? What if you're too much? But remember, every powerful woman you admire, whether in relationships, business, or life, had to push through those same doubts. The difference is, she did it anyway. You might be surprised at how receptive people actually are. Men, especially, find it refreshing when a woman is honest about what she wants. It takes the pressure off them to guess or decode hints, and it creates real connection instead of playing endless games. And if someone can't handle your clarity, that's not your person. That's a filter, not a failure. Let's talk about the deeper psychology for a moment. When you say I want with confidence, you're signaling that you trust yourself, that you're comfortable in your own skin, and that you're not afraid of your own desires. This is attractive not just romantically, but in every area of life. People are drawn to certainty, to direction, to someone who knows what she wants. It creates a sense of security and intrigue at the same time. This doesn't mean you never compromise or consider others' feelings. It means you put your needs on the table instead of hiding them and hoping someone will notice. In reality, most people want to make you happy, but they can't if you never tell them what you want. Now, a quick warning, because this is where some women fall off track. I want is not a magic trick to make people do what you say. It's not about bulldozing over others or ignoring their feelings. It's about expressing yourself honestly, giving others the chance to meet you where you are, and being open to their response, whatever that may be. If you ever feel tempted to use I want as a demand, step back and check your intention. Are you inviting connection, or are you trying to control? The first creates attraction, the second creates resistance. Remember, attraction and connection thrive in an atmosphere of freedom and respect. Let's do a quick recap of what you've learned so far. 1. Attraction isn't logical, it's primal and emotional. 2. Trying to be the perfect, always agreeable woman doesn't spark desire. 3. Men are drawn to women who express what they want clearly and confidently. 4. The words I want are simple, but powerful when used with authenticity and the right energy. 5. Practice is key. Use I want in love, work, and friendships to build your confidence. 6. It's about inviting, not demanding. 7. Real transformation comes from action, not just understanding. If this is making sense, if you're feeling that spark of I can do this, you're already halfway there. The rest is just practice. Here's a bonus tip. Sometimes people will be caught off guard at first when you start expressing yourself this way, especially if you've been the go with the flow type for a long time. You might get pushback. Someone might say, "You've changed." Take that as a compliment. Change means you're growing, and anyone who truly values you will adjust and appreciate your honesty. But the biggest change will be in you. You'll start to feel lighter, more energized, more in tune with your real self. You'll find that the things you want start happening more often, not because the world changed, but because you did. So, as you go into this next week, I want you to set an intention, not just to use the words I want, but to really own your desires, to speak up with clarity, and to notice how your world responds. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment to start, you'll be waiting forever. Begin now, exactly where you are. The final thing I want to leave you with is this. Speaking your desires isn't just about getting the guy, the job, or the respect you deserve. It's about creating a new standard for yourself. When you say I want and mean it, you're no longer living on autopilot or trying to fit into someone else's mold. You're choosing to live intentionally, to show up for yourself, and to invite others to meet you where you are. No more hiding, no more waiting for permission. Let's get even more practical. Maybe you're thinking, what if I say I want and he pulls away? What if my friends think I'm being pushy? What if my boss says no? Here's the truth. You can't control other people's reactions. Some people might be surprised, some might push back, but many will actually respect you more. Why? Because clarity is rare, and people crave it even if they don't always say so. You'll discover that the right people will be drawn to your honesty, and the wrong ones will filter themselves out. Isn't that better than wasting years guessing and hoping? Remember, it's not about steamrolling anyone or ignoring what matters to them. Being confident in what you want doesn't mean you stop listening, caring, or compromising when it's truly important. It just means you're putting your truth on the table and inviting honest connection. That's where real, lasting relationships, romantic or otherwise, are built. Let's circle back to relationships for a second. When you confidently express I want, you give the man you're interested in something to respond to. You're not just another face in the crowd, quietly supporting him from the shadows. You become a woman who stands out, who shapes her own experience, and who's not afraid to be seen. That's magnetic. And here's something almost nobody tells you. Men want to feel chosen, too. When you say I want to see you, it's not just about getting your needs met. It's about recognizing his value, showing interest, and creating a dynamic where both people are engaged. This is what healthy, grown-up attraction looks like. It's not about playing games, but about mutual, honest desire. Let's go even deeper. When you own your wants, you're actually healing something inside yourself. Maybe you grew up being told to put others first, to keep the peace, to be a good girl. Maybe you learned that your needs weren't as important, or that asking for what you want made you difficult. That conditioning runs deep, but every time you choose to speak up, you're rewriting that old script. You're proving to yourself that your wants matter. And over time, your confidence grows not just in dating, but in every aspect of life. Here's a visualization to help you anchor this new habit. Picture yourself in a situation where, in the past, you might have stayed quiet. Now, imagine yourself standing tall, making eye contact, speaking clearly. Hear the words I want coming out of your mouth with calm certainty. Imagine how that would feel in your body, relaxed, grounded, powerful. See how the people around you respond, even if it's with surprise at first. Let that vision sink in. That's you stepping into your real power. And if you ever slip back into old patterns, because hey, we all do sometimes, don't beat yourself up. Growth isn't linear. Every time you catch yourself shrinking or apologizing for what you want, just pause, take a breath, and try again. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Let's talk about what happens as you keep practicing this. You start noticing something incredible. Your relationships become more honest. You attract people who appreciate your strength and clarity. You waste less time on those who are only interested in the version of you that makes their life easy. You feel less anxious because you're not stuck in a cycle of second-guessing and overthinking. You sleep better at night knowing you showed up as your authentic self. And maybe the biggest shift of all, you start to trust yourself. You realize you can handle rejection, disappointment, or even disagreement. Because none of those things define your worth. They're just part of the human experience. Every time you say I want, you're reminding yourself and everyone else that you're here to live, not just to please. Let me give you a few extra tips to make this stick. 1. Start small. Don't wait for a huge, high-stakes moment. Practice with everyday stuff: ordering coffee, making plans with friends, or setting a boundary at work. 2. Celebrate your wins. Every time you say I want and feel that flicker of discomfort, give yourself credit. That's you growing. 3. Stay curious. If someone reacts badly, don't assume you did something wrong. Ask yourself, what does this teach me about them or about what I want? 4. Reflect and adjust. At the end of each day, take a minute to notice where you spoke up and how it felt. Where was it easy? Where was it hard? What would you do differently next time? 5. Be patient. Changing old habits takes time. If your voice trembles or your heart races, that's a sign you're doing something important. So, as we wrap up, I want to challenge you. Don't just watch this video and nod along. Take the experiment seriously. For 1 week, commit to using I want in your daily life. Track what shifts, inside and out. If you're brave enough to share your experiences, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your wins, your challenges, and your questions. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on, because I've got more videos coming that will help you keep building this new level of confidence, not just with men, but in every area of your life. And if you're still doubting whether you can do this, remember, confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build, one clear, honest, courageous moment at a time. So the next time you want something, whether it's a date, a raise, a certain kind of friendship, or even just a different dinner, don't wait for someone else to read your mind. Don't hide behind hints or hope for the perfect moment. Say it out loud. I want. You might be surprised just how much the world opens up for a woman who isn't afraid to want something and isn't afraid to say it. Thanks for spending this time with me. I hope you take this challenge and make it a permanent part of your life, because you deserve to be seen, heard, and chosen, not just by others, but by yourself. Until next time, stay bold, stay true, and remember, what you want matters. Now go out and claim it.